Truth before the truth. What is a heathen? There are two heathens coming from or out of people as to what they think is a heathen because of what they think the definition means. 1. Those who are not a member of the three monotheism religions. 2. Those who are not members of monotheism and put themselves in a myth such as the pantheon of ancient Greece or the old Norse world of the Nine Realms. Neither of these two have any similarity or connection to what the definition of heathen means exactly. This goes to show what ignorance may do with the words they're shown. They read a definition, hear a thought, then run with it and use it to shield their own insecurities. This particular insecurity is the inability to know what is all the way true, just impressions. The definition is clear, stating a heathen is not a believer in God. The dictionary may state that a heathen is one of these two meanings, but what is God? God is a pronoun for anything that is beyond your mortal ways. Anything that is above you to the point it's beyond powerful and you aren't allowed to stand in its presence unless specifically chosen to with reason and mission of God. God or Allah is a pronoun standing for anything that. Gods of ancient people, spirits, or magic that is beyond your wand's grasp. So what is a heathen then? Why believe in God when it is something that swallows you in comparison? Believing isn't what you do if you seek to obey God. A believer is contrary to people's ridiculous audacity to assume that God, a pronoun, doesn't exist. That isn't possible, but we aren't getting into that kayoe yet. Believing in God is suggesting from you to others that you believe it exists as it doesn't elsewhere. Hopefully a believer isn't such a fool that one declares the right to ordain the existence of such power. As if you're microscopic compared to. So a heathen doesn't believe in God. Does that make a heathen ahead of a believer? It can if we are certain a heathen has more freedom than one with the thought of believing the obvious from an oblivious position. Zooming in much closer, what does being a heathen permit? You can't be a heathen or a believer on a full-time basis, 24/7, as we do sleep and participate in reality. A believer or a heathen has obligations that intertwine them with the world somehow, some way. A heathen permits access to what is beyond their individual abilities. For God as a pronoun is one big thing of all that is too powerful to stand next to. If the pronoun stands for one strong, powerful wizard that created the planet or a pantheon of gods who are immortal, the heathen or believer can't stand next to them while recognizing the fact, for the two need to wake up or evolve a lot more to do so. While the believer believes for whatever reason that is the heathen is whoever that doesn't believe in God. The heathen isn't against God by not believing, for believing isn't the path of ascension. So the believer is strict in one's limitation of what to take in because they're assuming by desire to walk the path of ascension. Remembering God as a pronoun standing for a many, a heathen isn't paying attention to the fact that they are a failure with the believer. And for no reason a heathen will become strong or perform a feat that isn't possible to their self or to others because they are entering the unknown into self whether or not they know it. For one, all are God potentially, and a heathen allows the accident of abilities beyond one's capacity. A heathen can be a bad or good hero or monster. A believer is bad or good, as a believer restricting capacity, narrowing reality to have no other reason to become God by seeing God. A believer is a hero if true, or a monster otherwise. You know now that a believer and a heathen are very similar, and we are all heathens and believers within our own lives. Heathen is your adventure side. Believer is your self-evident side. Truth before the truth.